Gabriela Casusco Hernández. We established early this morning my Spanish isn't very good, but where are you joining us from?
Thank you, Matt. I'm really excited to be here. Where am I? I'm from Barranquilla, Colombia. You may know this city from a famous singer called Shakira.
Well, she's been a little busy with this World Cup right now. So you founded a company called Proyecto Acuático, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So tell us about this company and what drew you to found it.
Well, I felt connected to the ocean for as long as I can remember, but I became truly aware of that connection when I was around 7 years old. I remember visiting an aquarium and watching a dolphin show. At least that's the part I couldn't remember the most. And my first thought was not only about the trees or the somersaults themselves, but how would it feel to see this in the wild, in the ocean? And I want to say something. At that time, experiences like that were one of the few ways that I had to connect with marine life. I did not have the opportunities, the access, or experiences that many young people can find today. And that curiosity eventually made me want to learn more directly from nature itself. So a few years later, when I was 10 years old, I started looking for marine biology courses for children because I was excited to learn more. But most opportunities were designed for university students or adults. So between the courses I couldn't reach and the adults telling me, wait to be older, work for university, at some point I couldn't wait anymore. I decided not to wait. If I couldn't find the kind of learning experience I was looking for, I would create my own. And that decision became Proyecto Acuática. What started as curiosity became a platform dedicated to ocean literacy, to science communication, and to youth engagement. So at the beginning, I wanted to learn more about the ocean. And nowadays, yes, I want to learn more about the ocean. But my purpose nowadays is helping others to discover how deeply connected they already are to the ocean because people are more likely to protect what they understand and what they feel connected to.
That is, so you started this, 10 years old was when this really got set into motion. Oh, I love the idea
Yeah.
of the curiosity. So what would be the big goal with Proyecto Acuático?
I love that type of question. Why? Because I love to see my future. I'm a person that loves to visualize its future because I see it and it's amazing. Well, I have two dreams. As an organization, is to make ocean literacy accessible to everyone, regardless of their age, of their background, or where they live. Because when I was 10 years old, I didn't find the opportunities designed for children. And in 10 years, I hope to help build a place where no child faces that same barrier. I envision Proyecto Acuática growing into a center for marine research, for ocean education, and science communication, firstly in the Caribbean. And I see it like a place where children, where students, scientists, even educators, and communities in general can learn, can explore, and collaborate together. Because the Caribbean is recognized as one of the most biodiverse and culturally rich regions in the world. Yet, its voice is still underrepresented in many global ocean conversations. So I would love to contribute to change that. And on a personal level, as a future marine biologist, I also have a personal dream. And it's quite ambitious, but I don't care, I love it. And it's that I would love to discover and name a new species, to explore the deep ocean in a submersible, and contribute to technologies, to tools that help us better understand parts of the ocean that remain largely unexplored. But beyond any personal achievement, for today, my goal is simple: help create opportunities for others, especially young people, to discover the ocean and realize that they can play a role in protecting it.
Gabriela, how old are you?
Now I'm 18 years old.
I feel so lazy. You are just remarkable. And I love your message. I love your message that this curiosity sparked something and led to this passion. Now, one of the things we've talked about all morning long when we're talking about being unstoppable, so much of it is communication in how we get the messaging out. So you're obviously reaching out to young people. What have you found has been your most effective way to communicate to get other people interested in your passion, to have your curiosity for the ocean?
Well, I think that when I was 14, I created an educational program because I was almost finishing high school and I saw that at least in the school that I was studying, that the wave of ocean knowledge never arrived. And I decided to bring that wave of ocean knowledge to the classrooms of my school. And when I started to do these workshops, these cycles, I saw that young people want to know more about the ocean. And with that, I realized something. Many environmental challenges are not only scientific or political, they're also educational. Sometimes people lack information, sometimes they are exposed to misinformation, and sometimes environmental issues simply don't feel close enough to become a priority. And with that work, we saw similar patterns not only in educational settings, but also while building partnerships and trying to mobilize support for ocean conservation, at least here in my context. And over time, through our work at Proyecto Acuática, we began describing this challenge as the triple crisis of awareness: ignorance, misinformation, and lack of interest. Why? Because people can't care about what they don't understand, and people can't protect what they don't feel connected to. And once I understood that, it became practically impossible to ignore. Because every young person who discovers a connection with the ocean reminds me that education can change the way people see the world. And I think that's the thing, that's the situation that keeps me going.
Well, I will say, this is the message, education. Your passion is positively contagious. We're talking about being unstoppable. And when I hear you speak, I think we all feel invulnerable, but we know there are hardships. We know there are challenges. So for the people out there who maybe don't feel quite as unstoppable, what do you do when you feel stuck? What motivates you? How do you get through and get back to that unstoppable feeling?
I think what makes me unstoppable is determination and resilience. Because every challenge has taught me something important. For example, over the years, we noticed the triple crisis of awareness. And working with the youth, I discovered something. I'm going to say a quote here, and it's that most people say that youth are like a sponge. They absorb all the information. But with the youth that I'm engaged with, I discovered something. What if they can be communicators? What if they can also disseminate the information they learned? We have a network of youth ambassadors, and I'm going to say an anecdote, a short story time here. One of our founding ambassadors, that is from Spain, she's nowadays 10 years old. And an intergenerational event that we have that actually is going to be this year in July 14th, that is the Shark Convention. She asked to one of the scientists one simple question. Do sharks have personality?
What's the answer? Now I want to know. You got me hooked.
Exactly. I was impressed. The scientists were impressed. I think the scientist was like, how can I answer to that? So a couple of months later, the scientist, which is one of my friends and partners nowadays, he posted something on Instagram, and he posted that he started a research line based on that question.
That is remarkable. Gabriela, you have motivated us all so much. How can people get in touch with you? How can they support Proyecto Acuático?
Okay, I love this question. The easiest way is through Proyecto Acuática's social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram at Proyecto Acuática, no capital letters altogether. YouTube as Proyecto Acuática, as normal with the capital letters itself. You can see us on TikTok, on LinkedIn too, either through Proyecto Acuática, that is the account, the professional account, or through my personal LinkedIn profile, Gabriela Casusco Hernández. And you can also reach us directly by email at proyectoacuática@gmail.com. And I want to take advantage of this space to also share a new an achievement that it has me really, really proud, and is that also as Proyecto Acuática, Guardianes del Mar Caribe, or Guardians of the Caribbean Sea, has recently been recognized as an Ocean Decade Action and is also part of the Cultural Heritage Framework Program. People can also learn more about our work through the Ocean Decade Actions platform, where our goals, our impact, and content information are publicly available. So if you're an educator, a scientist, a student, an organization, a potential partner, or simply someone who believes in the power of education to create change, I would love to connect, because some of the most meaningful opportunities in our journey began with a simple conversation, and I believe that the next one could begin today.
Well, I have a feeling whatever you set your mind to, you are going to accomplish. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabriela Casusco Hernández. Talk about motivating the next generation. That was incredible. I think we are learning when you start these kids young, you have a lifetime of passion ahead of them. And now it's time to find out about our next speaker. She was Amy Ma, welcome to the stage. You're the founder and CEO of Danu Robotics. Am I saying that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, I understand you're into waste, or more appropriately, terminating waste. So explain to us what Danu Robotics is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are using 3D AI and precision robotics to picking out valuable recyclable materials from mixed waste streams.
So it sounds like Alice and Karen could use that to find the gold there. So how do you get into something like this, using these robotics to find the valuable waste? What's your background?
My background is in AI, supercomputers, and a large-scale distributed system. And I used to working for banks and developing analytic tools to reduce computation time from days to hours. And around 6 years ago, I noticed that the whole society still rely on human sorting, and that was shocking to me, because with today's technology, we can do so much better than human sorting.
So this is what drew you in. You're in this scientific background, you hear about this waste going on, and you say, I can solve that problem.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is incredible. I feel so stupid with these speakers. You guys are all so brilliant. So with this process, what's the biggest challenge to this, to getting Danu Robotics spread? What is the biggest hurdle for something like this becoming more widespread?
Yeah, I think the industry, waste management industry, is really welcoming the transition from manual sorting to robotic sorting. But for our company's journey, the biggest challenge was to get enough capital to grow fast enough to match with our customers' demand.
So as you talk about that, one of the things we've heard about and heard earlier today is you mentioned AI and the use of AI and these data centers. So with the efficiencies, what do you see the challenges moving forward with AI?
I think AI is a marvelous tool. It's inevitable. This technology going to impact every aspects of our life. However, ultimately, it's a tool. It's really depending on how we're using this powerful tool. The greater power comes with greater responsibility. So when we're using technology like this, we really need to be very intentional, very purposeful, and very disciplined to make sure we apply the technology that really benefit human life, society, and the environment as well.
Now, am I wrong, or did you just quote Spider-Man there? With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
I love you know how to appeal to these kids. So growing up, what did you dream of being?
Actually, when I was a kid, I wanted to be zookeepers because I love animals. But when I grew up, I was thinking, hold on, maybe keep animals in zoo may not be the best way to have that harmony with the nature animals. And then I really love engineering, technology, and what can be achieved by technology.
And so what started your journey into being responsible with the climate? Obviously, you had it at a young age when you realized animals in cages isn't good. Where did that come from, this idea about saving the earth?
Yeah, so around 30 years ago, I watched a documentary about industrial farming. Even at an extremely young age, I know it was wrong. And I saw the really horrible impact of our industrial activities on the environment, on the animal welfare, and also on the society as well. So at that time, I just thought, okay, that's wrong. I does not like what I saw, and that really seeded the idea for my passion for environmental protection and animal rights.
Well, once again, just like Gabriela, I feel your passion here, but I have the same question I had for her. You must face so many challenges, so many technological challenges, capital raising challenges, as you mentioned. So what do you do when you're feeling stuck? How do you get back to that place of feeling unstoppable?
Well, I think it's don't give up for sure, but I think I'm extremely fortunate to be working with a team of talented engineers who really share the same vision, and with people around you, you don't feel alone. You feel powerful.
I love that idea. It's community then.
Yep.
That's where you get your strength.
Yep.
Well, so one of the things we're here, I see the connection with Alice and Karen Shove. What else? We have a room full of influencers, millions of people watching, people who can make things happen. What would help Danu Robotics get to that next level?
Yeah, absolutely. If you see any opportunities that in a recycling facilities or building like this, or in a shopping center, sports events that can using our technology to sorting out different ways to reach out to me. And also, if you can find access to either grants or capital investment, do reach out to me as well. Thank you.
We could always use money, and I like that idea. I wish the World Cup were using Danu Robotics, because I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of empty beer cans, probably in Austria tomorrow morning as well. Amy Ma, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. Monica, you have outdone yourself. You have found some of the most impressive people I've ever been around. They are so smart and so innovative. And now, we are down to our final speaker of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, I will turn it over to Caroline Chen.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Caroline Chen. I grew up in 3 continents, born in Taipei, raised in Paraguay, and educated in Sydney. Greeting people in multiple languages feels less like a party trick and more like muscle memory. But here's what you really need to know about me. I was a commercial lawyer for 13 years. I made partner in Sydney at a firm where that title meant something. And then I walked away from all of it. That's the part that people always want to ask about. Being a lawyer taught me one thing above all else: how to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. Justice, I understood. I believed in it completely. But somewhere along the way, I kept running into a different kind of injustice. One not in any courtroom, one playing out in our coastlines, our ecosystems, and in the air we breathe. I represented a renewable energy company in one of my briefs in early 2010. Then I started paying attention to the scientists, the activists, and engineers who were building things that no one had ever built before. And then I thought this is where the fight actually is. So I left the law, not because I stopped caring about justice, but because I found a bigger case to argue. When I say I founded a company, I want to be honest about what that looked like. No revenue, enormous debt, a technology most investors couldn't spell. People told me the odds were impossible. But here's what I didn't tell them. I was born premature at 7.5 months. As a second daughter in a family that only valued sons, I was taken away from my mother as an infant without her knowledge and not fed for 2 weeks. I nearly died before I had a chance to live. Every single moment of that is a wave crashing down. And here's what I've learned, both from my life and the technology I now build. Most wave energy technologies only generate power on the upswing. When the wave rises, the turbine turns. When the wave falls, nothing. That energy is lost. We have designed a system that captures both, the up and down. We live in a world that celebrates only the upswing, but the downswing, being told you're not good enough, starting over with less than you started with, we treat that as dead time. It is not dead time. It is the other half of your power. The ocean covers 71% of this planet's surface. Over 200 years, we have more than 3,000 attempts to harness it. Wave energy remains the largest untapped renewable resource on Earth. Why? Because the ocean is corrosive. The waves are unpredictable. And the engineering has always been brutal. Most of the industry gave up. We did not give up. Over 20 years, we ran 3 real sea trials. Not models, not simulations, but machines in the open ocean. The first one taught us how exactly the sea behaved versus how we imagined it. The second showed us where the engineering had to exactly be stronger. And the third generated and sold electricity to the national grid. Each one of those trials was an act of persistence, of scientific rigor, and of the price that every pioneering technology must pay. My predecessors paid it, and today we have something that no one else has. Our air wave turbine converts every movement of the wave, both up and the down. Each turbine is rated at 1 megawatt. It works anywhere the ocean touches, coastal harbors, open sea, anywhere. But electricity is only the beginning. 2 of the greatest crises facing the world today are water scarcity and clean fuel. The same turbine that powers the port can desalinate seawater, producing fresh water for communities that have none. And it can produce green hydrogen, the clean fuel that will power the ships and the trucks and the industry that batteries alone cannot reach. One wave, one turbine, electricity, fresh water, clean fuel from the same machine. 3 things I have learned, not from business school, but from a life that kept trying to make me give up. First, never say impossible. When TSMC was founded in 1987, their first chip was 3,000 nanometers. Today, 1 nanometer. That is not progress. That is a civilization changing its mind. Never let today's limitation define tomorrow's ceiling. Second, don't abandon any stage. The funding call, the partnership, they come to the people still standing, so don't leave. Third, mistakes are the raw material of expertise. Each sea trial that humbled us taught us something no simulation ever could. Now, I told you about my life. I told you about the technology. I want to tell you about what comes next, because this is where you come in. The ocean has taught me that one wave alone erodes nothing. It is 1,000 waves arriving together from every direction that reshape a coastline. What I am asking from each of you is to add your wave to ours. If you are in policy, help us find the regulatory pathway. In policy, in finance, let's talk about the first-of-kind port deployment. In industry, your coastlines, your port may already be the site we need. And if you really simply care about this planet, share what you have heard today. Because every conversation you start is energy we don't have to generate alone.
Caroline, thank you so much. That was a fantastic talk. And talk about inspiring. We've mentioned the theme of unstoppable. Really, that has embodied your entire life. I didn't know that about your childhood. We spoke last night. That is truly remarkable. And I loved your messaging, too, about don't be afraid to make mistakes. Be persistent and stick around with your community. So you've already given so much advice, but for the young people here who might be inspired by your journey, what would you say to these young kids?
Don't be afraid to ask for resources. You're not the only people in this world. There is us, the older generation, and then there's you. Each one of our actions will affect you. So don't be afraid to demand. Please don't litter. Please stop using one-time use bottles, especially the plastic bottles.
Well, I love it. You said demand, but then because we're worried about communicating, you said please. So final thing, how can people get in touch with you, Caroline?
Our website, we're on LinkedIn. Always drop me a call. I flew in from Taipei. I always welcome you to fly from Vienna back to Taipei, and happy for you to visit us.
Caroline Chen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
What an inspiring story.